Hey guys, Erlex here, doing a quick update video for my Magicka Heavy Templar build. Now the first thing you'll need to know is that you do want to go ahead and watch my full build video that I've already created. There'll be a link in the description before you watch this video. But if you've already done that, we're going to start off with the gearing changes that I've made since the initial creation of that video. You'll notice I'm no longer using the Engine Guardian set, and this is actually not because I don't prefer the Engine Guardian set, but because I actually don't have the correct pieces. I'll actually need to get the heavy Engine Guardian helm to go along with my heavy shoulders before I'll be able to run that, and that's only because you actually want to be able to run 5 pieces of heavy armor, and if you use 2 pieces of the Warlock gear like I'm using here, you won't actually be able to equip the 2 Engine Guardian and still have 5 heavy pieces. So if you have Engine Guardian both heavy, you can definitely use that. The other change I made is instead of using the Seducer, I'm actually using the Magnus helm, or the Magnus set I should say, and that's mostly for the increase in spell damage. Now the correct way to do this would actually be to have your staff be Magnus, your chest, legs, and belt be Magnus, and you'll actually only run 4 piece, and you'll kind of just ignore that 8% chance to negate the cost of a spell because it's really not that powerful. Along with that, you'll run the Warlock set 5 piece, and you'll run your Engine Guardian head and chest. In my case, I don't have the Engine Guardian just yet, so I'm just using a 5 piece Magnus because it rounds out the build pretty nicely. On your other bar, you'll notice that I'm no longer using a Resto Staff. I'm actually swapped over to a Sword and Shield, and this is mainly just for reduced cost in blocking, so I can block a little bit more to prevent so many stuns and CCs and that sort of thing. Resto Staff is still very good. I just felt like the way I'd been playing lately, that the Sword and Shield was a little bit better for me, and that also allowed me to make Torag's Pact, that way I could actually get some bonus spell damage on this other bar. That's about all the gear changes though. If we swap over to our skills, you'll actually notice that I've made a couple of minor changes here. I'm no longer using Eclipse, and instead I'm using Proximity Detonation. And the reason I'm using Proximity Detonation is actually just for burst. I have a lot of issues with getting people killed, so Proximity Detonation helps to burst them down quickly if I can get the cast off. Now it is perfectly okay to still use the Eclipse, but just personal preference of mine is use the Proximity Detonation before I charge in and explode with some puncturing sweeps and Radiant Oppression. Another change that I made is I moved the Vampire's Bane to my second bar so that I can actually cast all of my dots, all of my ground effects, and keep myself alive, and then swap over to go full offensive. It just feels a little bit better having those 2 things kind of swapped around. The last change that's really major that I made is I'm using Dawnbreaker of Smiting instead of Meteor. Meteor is actually significantly weaker than Dawnbreaker of Smiting because they hit for about the same damage, and since you're already most of the time in melee range with your charging and your Proximity Detonation, your Blazing Shield, I mean everything is built around being close to your target, the Dawnbreaker of Smiting hits harder, hits faster, it can stun, it costs less, and it can't be reflected, and that's the big thing. So definitely recommend the Dawnbreaker of Smiting over the Meteor. And I still do use the Empowering Sweep to help my defenses if I'm really getting beat on. An alternative to that is actually you can use Soul Assault if you want a ranged finisher, but I think the Empowering Sweep is actually better. But that's it for all of the major changes. The last thing you may want to see is champion points, and I haven't really done anything different with those. I just added some more to it. I have around 210 champion points now, and I just added more to each thing that I already had points in. Alright, that's it. Thank you guys very much for watching the build video, and if you have any questions, leave them below and I will be sure to answer every single question I can get to. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe.